Welcome everyone and thank you all for coming. A very special welcome to the youngest person ever in Brussels to have heard anything about Gibraltar, and many congratulations to you. So let me just say a couple of things. This is, as Daniel has said, Gibraltar is now a third country. The United Kingdom is now a third country. It's my first visit to Brussels as a third country, my first visit as a third country national. And the impact for me on arrival was getting a taxi from the airport, arriving here at Gibraltar House, and seeing there was no EU flag flying next to the Gibraltar flag outside the door. Obviously the practical impact as the months move on will be far greater than that. As you know, 96% of Gibraltar voted to remain in the European Union. We were the largest Remain vote in the whole of the voting electorate. But we are where we are, and in a sense, we now have to get over the divide of Remain and Leave that have took over the United Kingdom, concentrate on where we are, and from our perspective, try to achieve the best possible deal for Gibraltar going forward. And really, for us, Brexit is narrowed down to one very simple issue. And that issue is how the border between Gibraltar and the European Union, the land border with Spain, how that will operate when we end the transition period on the 31st of December this year. And it's an issue because there are 15,000 people who live in Spain and who work in Gibraltar. Just to give you an example, we came into government in 2012. There are only 6,000. Now there are 15,000 people who live in Spain of all the nationalities of the European Union. So 9,000 are Spanish, but then there are Germans, Dutch, Italians, French, Portuguese, Slovenians. Every single member state of the European Union is represented in that number. And we cannot operate economically without those frontier workers. They make up 40% of our workforce, and they are in every single area of society, in every single area of the economy. So we have German doctors, we have Spanish nurses, we have bankers, Dutch, covering every single area of the economy. The other important aspect is tourists. We receive 10 million tourists a year. These people cross the land border into Gibraltar, mainly day trippers, and then they go back again every evening to Spain. So the third component is residents. There are people who live in Gibraltar who go to Spain. There are family links between people in Gibraltar and people in Spain. People go to Spain to spend money in hotels, in restaurants, in shops. Spaniards come to Gibraltar to spend money in hotels, in restaurants, and in shops as well. So there's very close economic interdependence between the two sides of the border. That border, you may recall, was closed completely from 1969 until 1985 by the fascist dictator General Franco. That devastated the economy on both sides of the border, but particularly in Spain, where people had to emigrate to Germany, to the UK, and to other places to find jobs. There are now more frontier workers than there were then. There are 15,000, and while the border is not going to close, nobody's saying that it's going to close, the way in which people can access the other side of the border, cross into Gibraltar or cross into Spain, will have an important bearing on the economic development of the region. Gibraltar imports 1.5 billion euros a year from Spain. So all our imports, food, petroleum, construction material, everything comes in through that land border. And while our issue is different to Northern Ireland in the sense that in Northern Ireland the debate is more about the movement of goods and not about the movement of people, nonetheless, even in relation to goods, there are specific nuances which concern us in relation to imports from third countries once we end the transition period. So even there are issues to look at, even though the two borders are, as I said before, very different. Also in Northern Ireland, there is a 500-kilometre long border with 200 crossing points, and our border area is 1.6 kilometres with one narrow crossing point where everybody has to go through, whether it's goods, whether it's workers, whether it's tourists, and whether it's vehicles. So that's an important area. But there are solutions to every problem, and there is a solution to this too. One thing we're investigating and looking at is the possibility of a common travel area between Gibraltar and the European Union. That might be possible. We've spent a lot of time, a lot of work in looking at the borders between the European Union and the different microstates. I think some of them are represented here in this room today. We've looked at the border with Andorra, San Marino, Monaco, Liechtenstein, even the Vatican City. All of them operate different border regimes in relation to the European Union. It is possible also to find one which fits into our requirements. And additionally, there is the local border traffic regulation, which is in place between the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad and the surrounding European Union states, Poland on one side and Lithuania on the other. Again, a special border regime which allows crossings for workers, which allows crossing for residents within a defined area of the border, which could be adapted to meet our situation. But certainly that is the single most important challenge that Gibraltar faces once we end the transition period. And the noises coming from Spain are positive. The Prime Minister of Spain, the Foreign Secretary of Spain, have both said we need to put people first, and have both said we need to look at these border arrangements and see how we can make them more fluid once the exit is complete at the end of the transition. So there is hope, and there are now talks and negotiations that are going to begin. And as we move into that phase, I want to stress the importance of Gibraltar House here in Brussels. I mean, the Gibraltar House will continue open as our mission here in Brussels to the European Union. I think its importance and its role is now more vital and more important than ever. We know that territories like the Channel Islands, for example, which are largely outside the European Union, also our friends in Bermuda have recently opened an office here. So we intend to continue and to maintain our presence here and the vital role that the office will continue to play for Gibraltar and for its people. We opened this building, we bought the building rather in 2014. It opened shortly afterwards. Sir Graham Watson, who is here in this room, was the first director of Gibraltar House in Brussels and did a fantastic job in pursuing the interests and defending the interests of Gibraltar before the institutions. Graham is a friend of Gibraltar and a personal friend also. I'm very pleased to see Rita here as well. And now Daniel has taken on the baton from Graham, and it's already, I can already see the makings of a great diplomat in him too. We spent 2 days of meetings wandering around the corridors of the European Parliament, which is enough to make anybody a serious diplomat.
Had a good teacher.
And Daniel says he had a good teacher, so I know that you will also perform as well as Graham has done in your role. And also the team here in Gibraltar House, thank you. Olivier, thank you, Paul, and to Daniel, a small team, but a very dedicated team here in Gibraltar House. So I want to thank you all for making the time to come here to this reception here tonight. I want to thank you all for learning a bit more about Gibraltar and understanding what our issues are. But as I say, as we move into the transition and as the future negotiations are set to open in March, it's important that Gibraltar and our issues should not be forgotten as we go forward. So thank you all very much for coming and for listening.